وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. There's a very famous astrophysicist a lot of people know of. His name is Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson. This guy is a genius. He's one of the foremost experts in astrophysics and physics and so many other things. And you see him on YouTube and other things, he's talking all the time. He was asked what he believes about God. He was asked about his beliefs in God. And very recently, he was on the Colbert Report with the actor from Star Trek. What's his name? I can't remember his name. Does anybody remember his name? No, the other guy. It'll come to my mind. Either way. And he said something very interesting. He said, it doesn't make any sense if you sit and you think about Earth, that we're this ball of sand in the middle of the solar system, circling the sun, and we're all on this planet and we're living and breathing. It doesn't make any sense. And that there's this thing called life, and that there's things in the ocean, and that there's things on land, and there's all these different types of life. He said, if you think about it, it doesn't make any sense. So he's asked about his belief in God. He said, somebody asked him, do you believe in God? And his answer, verbatim, word for word, was, he said, if we're exploring space, this is his words, not mine. He said, if we're exploring space and we run into the big guy, this is his words, not mine. He says, we run into him, I'll believe. Meaning if we see him, if we come and see him and we run into him and we find it, the evidence, that I see him, it's like, I will believe. Right? So he said, but I have a hard time believing in an all-powerful and an all-good God. When there's children who are born with congenital heart diseases and other issues and suffering and all this on earth. He says, I can't believe in a God who's all-powerful and all-good when all of these things are going on. Now, a lot of people might be convinced by this kind of rhetoric, by this kind of statement. It's like, oh yeah, how does that make sense if God is all good and all powerful and all this stuff is happening, right? He's either not all good or he's not all powerful. And this is a very basic atheist trope. Problem is, I don't know, can you guys identify the problem? What's the problem with the logic? What's the problem with the logic, the saying this statement? If God is all good and all powerful, right? Either God doesn't exist because he can't be all good and all powerful because there's all this evil and suffering. The issue is, you cannot limit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the creator to the two characteristics you picked. You can't choose two qualities and base everything off of these two things. Why did you choose all good and all powerful and explain it against that? Why didn't you choose all wise, Al-Hakim, and explain it against the issue of suffering? Why didn't you choose Al-Qadir, the one who decides and who puts everything into place? Al-Muqtadir, right? Al-Awwal, Al-Akhir. Why didn't you choose these other names and attributes of Allah to deal with your problem of suffering? So this is a common trope used by atheists, especially former Christian atheists, because these are the two characteristics of God that they depend upon as Christians. And it leads to atheism. If you only accept God as good and powerful, you have to become atheist. There's no other way. You cannot manage this belief system in the heart and the mind that God is all good and powerful and suffering existing at the same time. So when we look at the deen, we look at the Quran and the Sunnah, we can't just take this idea of 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for granted. وَلَهُ أَكْثَرْ مِنْ ذَا. It's more than 99. You can't put a limit on the qualities and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's unlimited, it's unfathomable. And when you come to realize this, suffering is not an issue to solve anymore. Makes sense. Because I know there's going to be an akhirah, I know there's going to be yawm al-qiyamah, I know there's going to be adl. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Rahman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all of these things in a way we can't fathom a being to be. So despite his intense intelligence in astrophysics, it's don't get what is the word? Don't get bamboozled by somebody with nice degrees and intelligent words and nice conversations about things we don't understand. When they talk about God, they only limit him to two: good and all-powerful. And they base their whole existence and their idea of the belief on those two things. It's really lazy. It doesn't befit somebody the status of being an astrophysicist to think like this and to have that sort of logic. So I hope, inshallah, this conversation is beneficial, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, if we come across, brothers and sisters who deal with these kinds of doubts. Oh, hey, I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson saying, this kind of a thing. Really, it's not a problem. Let him say it. Why are we limiting it to this? Right? How can you limit and put conditions on what we think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how we understand who the Creator is? Right. And so we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us all good, to open our eyes and open our minds and open our hearts, and to guide those who are misguided and to keep those who are guided firm upon the deen. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help our brothers and sisters in Gaza and everywhere else. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove any hardship and woes and anything that's in our hearts and carrying us down. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to return to Him and to return to Him yawm al-qiyamah and to be with our beloved alayhi salatu wassalam on that day as well. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. وإياكم.